Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're looking at some new cards being released within Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duels. This is from a character called Kakoko'd. De Gulchi Langerde is a level 6 Earth Attribute Pyro type normal monster with 1900 attack and 1500 defense. When a Mont Blanc was placed in Doki earthenware, a soul came to dwell within it. Screams of terror pour out at the sight of its spawn wandering the raised floor-style warehouse area. The interesting thing about this card is being a level 6 for 1900 attack. There is another monster with this exact stat lineup, which I can actually remember from the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is Insect Knight. That is a level 4 monster. This is a level 6 monster, which requires a tribute summon, just to bring it out. It doesn't really have any relevance outside of maybe his deck, possibly because it's an Earth Pyro monster that's a very unique combination and actually works with what he needs. It says as part of the notes, this card's name is a play on Dogu, Dolce, the Jomon period, and Mont Blanc, which is the mountain in France. I think it's the highest mountain in France. De Gulchi Langerde Shakoki is a level 5 Earth Attribute Pyro type effect monster with 1700 attack and 0 defense. The requirement: during the turn this card is normal summoned, you can activate this. And the effect: send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If there's a monster that's a Pyro type among them, choose one monster level 6 or higher Pyro type in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So this is a level 5, which means it does need a sacrifice attribute for its tribute summon. So you are losing 1 resource for this card. I think for the attack stat it's incredibly weak, and its defense stat being 0 means it's susceptible to being either changed into defense mode or having its attack and defense switched over so that you're taking the maximum amount of battle damage possible from your opponent. The requirement is more of an annoyance because it has to be activated on the turn this card is summoned. It's not something that can be stored as an effect for later on. And the effect to send the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard, that's fine if you're running a Pyro type deck. Most likely you will hit at least one of those monsters. And if you're lucky enough to do that, then potentially you can get a level 6 or higher Pyro type from the graveyard back to your hand. Obviously, the longer the duel has gone on for, the more likely you're going to have higher level Pyro types in your graveyard to have access to recovering those cards. Better to run something as specific as this than to be running generic cards which might break your hand or might just be irrelevant for the time that you draw them. It says as part of the notes that this card's name is a play on Dogu, Dolce Langerde. Langerde is a type of biscuit. It translates to cat's tongue, and I do remember these off the Great British Bake Off. And it says here as well, Shakoki. Doki Hexenhaus is a level 7 Earth Attribute Pyro type effect monster with 2300 attack and 2100 defense. The requirement: the turn this card is normal summoned, you can activate this. The effect is to choose one normal monster, it must be a Pyro type in your graveyard, then special summon it to your side of the field face up. For a level 7, it's quite weak. 2300 attack is something that could be easily taken over by most other monsters that do require 2 tributes. The requirement is another one of those that has to be activated on the turn it's summoned. It can't be stored as an effect to be used later. And the effect isn't even that good anyway, just summoning a normal monster that's a Pyro type back from your graveyard. It's fine to fuel further plays within the turn, or maybe to increase your field presence, but you could probably do that with just generic cards, such as spell or trap cards. It mentions as the notes that this card's name is a play on Doki Doki, the sound of the heartbeat. Doki earthenware. Hexenhaus seems to be German, and may refer to Hansel and Gretel's witch's house. But somehow Japan may have taken the term to refer to gingerbread house. So there might be a bit of a loss of translation between what Germany actually has as part of their fairy tales and their culture versus what Japan thinks is the German name for gingerbread house. I'm probably going to butcher the absolute name out of this, but I think the German word is Lebkuchenhaus, either that or Lebkuchenhaus. Either way, if you're a German resident, I apologise, and let me know what the translation is basically in the comments down below. And the final card is Dry Fruit De-kako-ration. It's a normal spell card with the requirement: you can activate this by shuffling 4 monsters must be Pyro types from your graveyard into the deck. The effect: until the end of the turn, all face-up monsters you control, Earth Attribute Pyro type, gain 800 attack, then you gain 800 life points. So this has two ways of looking at it. Firstly, it's a bit of a pot of avarice. It does return your pyro type monsters back into the deck, which means you don't actually have to run pot of avarice because you've got your own design of this card. The effect is also quite nice because if you've already got monsters on your field which match the earth attribute pyro types, they gain 800 attack points each. So if you've got a full field of 3, that's an additional 2,400 attack points in total, and the amount of damage that you can do on top of what you already have. And you also get a nice boost of 800 life points. Overall, I think these cards are very useful, and if I remember correctly, with Nick's deck, I think that's the English translation of this character. He already has quite a few pyro-type monsters, and I'll be excited to see how his deck progresses within the future. Personally, I do love this gingerbread house type of card. I think this is personally my favourite one that's down here. I think some of the monsters do need tweaking, or we need some stronger versions before this deck can be considered a threat. But I definitely have faith in this, and I think there are strategies you can use around this card. Whatever you think, please leave those in the comments down below. I'd like to know whether you think it can be competitive, or whether you just think this is going to be forgotten within the next couple of months. Leave those in the comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content.